All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I am Sarabjit Kaur and with me is Prashant Kumar Sinha. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacts with Smart Hackathon innovators through video conference. Says youth's innovative mindset will take India to the top in next 25 years. Prime Minister to lay foundation stone and inaugurate various developmental projects in Gujarat during his two-day visit beginning tomorrow. Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs approves policy amendment exempting wheat flour from export ban. Home Minister Amit Shah reviews security in Jammu and Kashmir, asks security forces to continue well-planned counter-terrorism operations. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh to hold bilateral talks with his Tanzanian counterpart Dr. Stermigona Lawrence Tax in New Delhi today. Country is ready for launch of 5G services by October this year, says the Communications Minister Ashwani Vaishnav. Delhi government calls special one-day assembly session at 11 a.m. today. India Meteorological Department issues yellow alert for rain for next 4 days in Uttarakhand. And in badminton, HS Pranoy to play men's singles quarter-final of World Championships in Tokyo today. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said the future of India will be dependent on the innovations and work done by the youth, and their innovative mindset will take India to the top in next 25 years. Mr. Modi remarked that India of the 21st century is moving ahead with full confidence in its youth.
हिंदुस्तान गर्व करता है आप पर। आप सभी का इनोवेटिव माइंडसेट आने वाले 25 वर्षों में भारत को टॉप पर पहुंचाएगा। आप सभी पर मेरे इस विश्वास की ठोस वजह भी है। साथियों, इस बार 15 अगस्त को मैंने लाल किले से कहा कि भारत में कितनी बड़ी एस्पिरेशनल सोसाइटी आज विकसित हो रही है, विस्तार हो रहा है। इस अमृत काल में ये एस्पिरेशनल सोसाइटी एक ड्राइविंग फोर्स की तरह काम करे। इसकी अपेक्षाएं, इसकी उम्मीदें, इससे जुड़े हुए चैलेंजेस आपके लिए बहुत सारे नए अवसर लेकर आएंगे।
He highlighted that as a result of this, India's ranking in Innovation Index has increased today. He said the number of patents has increased 7 times in the last 8 years. Prime Minister added that the unicorn count has also crossed 100. The Prime Minister said from agriculture to drones, the youth can work on innovations across sectors.
हर सेक्टर को आत्मनिर्भर बनाने पर है और इसलिए ही आप सभी युवाओं के लिए भारत में हर रोज नई अपॉर्चुनिटीज बन रही है। ड्रोन टेक्नोलॉजी, टेली कंसल्टेशन, डिजिटल इंस्टीट्यूशंस, वर्चुअल सॉल्यूशंस, इन सभी में सर्विस से लेकर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग तक आपके लिए बहुत संभावनाएं हैं। आप जैसे युवा खेती और हेल्थ सेक्टर में ड्रोन टेक्नोलॉजी के उपयोग को बढ़ावा देने के लिए नए नए सॉल्यूशंस पर काम कर सकते हैं। अपने सिंचाई के उपकरणों को, सिंचाई के नेटवर्क को हम स्मार्ट कैसे बना सकते हैं, इसमें भी बहुत संभावनाएं हैं। साथियों, आज देश के गांव-गांव में ऑप्टिकल फाइबर बिछाने का काम तेज गति से चल रहा है।
He exhorted the youth to work to create smart solutions for the agriculture sector, like promoting use of drones or new technology for irrigation. Interacting with Smart Hackathon innovators through video conference last night, the Prime Minister said today's young generation is creating fast and smart solutions for India.
स्मार्ट इंडिया हैकाथॉन पब्लिक पार्टिसिपेशन का बहुत बेहतरीन उदाहरण बन चुका है और साथियों, इस बार का स्मार्ट इंडिया हैकाथॉन कई मायनों में बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है। अब से कुछ दिन पहले ही हमने आजादी के 75 वर्ष पूरे किए हैं। आजादी के 100 वर्ष होने पर हमारा देश कैसा होगा, इसे लेकर देश बड़े संकल्पों पर काम कर रहा है। इन संकल्पों की पूर्ति के लिए जय अनुसंधान, इसके उद्घोष के ध्वजावाहक आप इनोवेटर हैं। अमृत काल का ये 25 वर्ष का टाइम पीरियड आपके लिए अभूतपूर्व संभावनाएं लेकर आया है। ये संभावनाएं और ये संकल्प सीधे सीधे आपके कैरियर ग्रोथ से भी जुड़े। अगले 25 वर्ष में आप युवाओं की सफलता भारत की सफलता को तय करेगी। इसलिए मैं आप सभी को लेकर बहुत विश्वास से भरा हुआ हूं।
He said to augment innovation in India, there is a need to provide both social and institutional support to the young innovators, adding that effective collaboration among students, government along with private organizations will fulfill the dream vision of New India.
स्टूडेंट्स, गवर्नमेंट और प्राइवेट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के बीच कोलैबोरेशन की ऐसी ही स्पिरिट, सबका प्रयास की ये भावना विकसित भारत के निर्माण के लिए आवश्यक है। साथियों, मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि आप सभी इन बातों को ध्यान में रखेंगे और इनोवेशन के दिए को ऐसे ही प्रज्वलित करते रहेंगे। मैं आपको आश्वस्त करता हूं कि आपके परिश्रम को, आपके प्रयासों को सरकार का निरंतर साथ मिलेगा। सरकार हर कदम पर आपके साथ खड़ी है।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be on a 2-day visit to Gujarat from tomorrow. He will address Khadi Utsav at Sabarmati River Front in Ahmedabad tomorrow evening and inaugurate Smriti Van Memorial in Bhuj on Sunday morning. He will also lay the foundation stone and inaugurate various developmental projects in Bhuj. Prime Minister will address a program in Gandhinagar in the evening, marking the commemoration of 40 years of Suzuki in India.
To curb the rising prices of wheat flour and to ensure food security for the most vulnerable sections of society, the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs has given its approval to amend the policy which exempts wheat flour from export ban. This will pave the way to put a restriction on the export of wheat flour. The conflict between Russia and Ukraine, the two major exporters of wheat, has disrupted the global wheat supply chain and increased demand of Indian wheat. As a result, the price of wheat in the domestic market showed an increase. In May of this year, prohibition was put on export of wheat to ensure food security of 1.4 billion people of the country. However, this led to rise in the demand for wheat flour in foreign markets, which in turn caused significant price rise in the domestic market. Home Minister Amit Shah held a review meeting on the security situation of Jammu and Kashmir in New Delhi yesterday. He reviewed the working of the security grid and on various actions being taken to reduce the incidence of terrorism over the past few years. The Home Minister asked security forces to continue with coordinated efforts through meticulous and well-planned counter-terrorism operations to wipe out terrorism. He added that security forces should strive to make the border and the LOC impregnable. Mr. Shah said once the fear of cross-border movement of terrorists, arms and ammunition is eliminated, the people of Jammu and Kashmir would decisively defeat the proxy war with the help of security forces. The cases registered under UAPA were also reviewed during the meeting.
Communications Minister Ashwini Vaishnav has said the country is ready for launch of 5G services by October this year. He said this while releasing amendment in the Indian Telegraph Right-of-Way Rules 2016 to facilitate faster and easier deployment of telecom infrastructure for faster 5G rollout in India. In his address at the event in New Delhi last evening, the Communications Minister mentioned about 4 basic ingredients for ensuring faster rollout of 5G services across the country, mainly allocation of spectrum, reforms in the processing of right-of-way or ROW permission, cooperative federalism and rollout of services. Spectrum allocation and harmonization has been completed successfully.
स्पेक्ट्रम की प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हुई, आरओडब्ल्यू की प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हुई, जितने स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स को साथ में लेना था वो साथ आए और अब तेजी से रोल आउट करने की तैयारी चल रही है। सारे के सारे टेलीकॉम सर्विस प्रोवाइडर्स अपना इक्विपमेंट लगाना, इक्विपमेंट को प्रॉपर्ली ट्यून अप करना, जगह जगह नए जो भी इंस्टॉलेशंस करने में लगे हुए हैं और होपफुली बाय अक्टूबर 5G वी शुड बी लॉन्चिंग एंड उसके बाद में बहुत रैपिड स्केल अप करेंगे, तेजी से स्केल अप करेंगे, केवल शहरों में ही नहीं बल्कि कस्बों में, गांवों में, दूर दराज क्षेत्रों में भी जल्दी से जल्दी 5G लाने का टारगेट प्रधानमंत्री जी ने दिया है डिपार्टमेंट को और बहुत ही तेजी से इस पे हम लोग आगे रोल आउट करेंगे.
President Draupadi Murmu will confer this year's National Teachers Awards to 46 selected awardees on 5th September in New Delhi. The Department of School Education and Literacy, Ministry of Education, has been organizing a national-level function on Teachers' Day every year to confer the national awards to best teachers of the country. The selection is done through a rigorous, transparent and online 3-stage selection process.
Over the past 75 years, since independence, India's largest public service broadcaster, All India Radio, has been the proverbial storyteller for the 1.3 billion citizens across the country. Listeners, All India Radio is celebrating 75 years of freedom with the series Azad Bharat Ki Baat Akashvani ke Saath. It showcases the journey of India since independence and various walks of life through the storytelling of All India Radio. In today's episode, we bring you the story of Bangladesh Liberation War of 1971, which was won by India's diplomatic strategy and military prowess.
Azad Bharat Ki Baat Akashvani ke Saath, reliving the journey of India since independence over the last 75 years with All India Radio. From 15th August, the series is being broadcast on All India Radio, 100.1 FM Gold Channel, primetime news bulletins and across all its platforms. Tune in to stay updated with All India Radio.
The 1971 Bangladesh Liberation War was a saga of impeccable military planning and precise execution by India to end decades of atrocities and subjugation of the people of East Pakistan by the Pakistani military junta. The plight of millions of war-ravaged Bengali civilians caused worldwide outrage and alarm. India, which was led by Indira Gandhi, provided substantial diplomatic, economic and military support to Bangladeshi nationalists.
हम इस कोशिश में थे कि किसी न किसी तरह बांग्लादेश में शांति के रास्ते से कोई वहाँ के प्रश्न सुलझाए जा सके और वहाँ की जनता पर जो अत्याचार हैं वो रुके, जिसमें शांति से वो लोग रह सकें और शांति से भारत की जनता भी रह सके और जो शरणार्थी हमारे देश में आए हैं वो वापस वहाँ पे जा सकें। हमने सारी दुनिया को ये बात बताई, लेकिन वो बुनियादी कारण को न देखते हुए दूसरी बातों में लगे।
In the parliamentary discussion on the issue, the then opposition leader Atal Bihari Vajpayee supported Indian government stand.
अध्यक्ष जी, आप मुझे क्षमा करें, कोई ये न कहे कि मैं भावनाओं को उभारना चाहता हूँ। युद्ध है, अगर सीमा पर आक्रमण है तो देश की जनता को युद्ध के प्रयत्नों में जोड़ना होगा। हम उन्माद पैदा न करें, मगर लोगों की देशभक्ति को जगाकर हर एक में ये भाव भरना होगा कि जो काम आप कर रहे हैं उसको ठीक तरह से करिए, मोर्चे पर खड़े रहिए। जवान सीमा के मोर्चे की चिंता करेंगे और हम घरेलू मोर्चे को संभालेंगे। किसी तरह का उपद्रव नहीं होने देंगे, किसी तरह की सांप्रदायिक अशांति पैदा नहीं होने देंगे। और अगर पाकिस्तान समझता है धोखे से हमला करके वो हमें गफलत में पकड़ सकता है तो ये पाकिस्तान की भूल है। दुनिया ने देख लिया हमलावर कौन है और अब हमलावर को हमारे जवान मुंह तोड़ उत्तर दे रहे हैं। हम आशा करते हैं कि इतिहास को बदलने की इस घड़ी का दायित्व जिनके हाथों में और प्रधानमंत्री इस संकट की घड़ी में देश को नेतृत्व देने के लिए सामने आ रहे हैं। हम चाहते हैं ये देश विजयी हो और प्रधानमंत्री के नेतृत्व में हम एक नए इतिहास का निर्माण करें।
India joined the war on 3rd December 1971 after Pakistan launched preemptive airstrikes on North India. The subsequent Indo-Pakistani war witnessed engagements on two war fronts, with air supremacy achieved in the Eastern Theatre and the rapid advance of Indian military. Pakistan surrendered in Dhaka on 16 December 1971 in what remains to date the largest surrender of soldiers since the Second World War. Field Marshal Sam Manekshaw was the chief of the army staff during the Bangladesh Liberation War.
It was heartwarming to watch General Manekshaw, the chief of army staff, bring a word of cheer to his wounded Jawans who have just returned from Chamb and are now in a military hospital in New Delhi.
ठीक है, कौन सी यूनिट है तेरी? फोर जाट। चम में लड़ाई किया, बहुत दुश्मन को मारा, शाबाश, जल्दी जल्दी तगड़ा हो जा, फिर जब मौका मिलूगा। कहाँ का रहने वाला तू? मेरठ का। शाबाश। क्या हो गया? हाँ, गोली लग गया कितनी? मुझे तो पहले 9 लगी थी, मैं भी देख तगड़ा हो गया, चीफ बन गया, तू भी बन जाएगा, शाबाश।
All India Radio played a major role during the war, which lasted for 12 days, covering every incident, including the surrender of Pakistani troops.
आजाद भारत की बात आकाशवाणी के साथ can be accessed on AIR News Alerts on Twitter, News on AIR official YouTube channel, News on AIR app, Facebook and Instagram handles. So tune in to All India Radio News for Azad Bharat Ki Baat Akashvani ke saath. The Delhi government has called a special one-day session of the Delhi Legislative Assembly at 11 a.m. today. The session has been called as political battle intensifies between the Aam Aadmi Party and BJP on the alleged liquor scam. BJP is accusing the Aam Aadmi Party government for indulging in corruption in the Delhi excise policy. The Election Commission has given its decision in the Office of Profit case against Chief Minister Hemant Soren. Official sources have confirmed that the copy of judgment has reached Raj Bhavan. Governor Ramesh Bais has been studying the report and seeking legal advice on the case.
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacts with smart hackathon innovators through video conference, says youth's innovative mindset will take India to the top in next 25 years. Prime Minister to lay foundation stone and inaugurate various developmental projects in Gujarat during his 2-day visit beginning tomorrow. Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs approves policy amendment exempting wheat flour from export ban. Home Minister Amit Shah reviews security in Jammu and Kashmir, asks security forces to continue well-planned counter-terrorism operations. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh to hold bilateral talks with his Tanzanian counterpart Dr. Stergomena Lawrence Tax in New Delhi today. Country ready for launch of 5G services by October of this year, says Communications Minister Ashwini Vaishnav. Delhi government calls a special one-day assembly session at 11 a.m. today. India Meteorological Department issues yellow alert for rain for next 4 days in Uttarakhand. And in badminton, HS Pranoy to play men's singles quarter-final of World Championships in Tokyo today. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
क्या आप वरिष्ठ नागरिक हैं? क्या आपके मन में सेहत, आर्थिक, सामाजिक या भावनात्मक मुद्दों से जुड़ा कोई सवाल है? आकाशवाणी आपके लिए लेकर आया है कार्यक्रम एक कदम और बुजुर्गों के लिए, हर रविवार रात 9:30 बजे FM गोल्ड पर। रविवार 28 अगस्त FM गोल्ड पर रात 9:30 बजे प्रसारित होने वाले हमारे कार्यक्रम का विषय है बुजुर्ग और पेंशन। आप अपने सवाल हमें व्हाट्सएप नंबर 9289094044 पर भेज सकते हैं।
Welcome back to the morning news. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh will hold bilateral talks with Tanzanian Minister of Defence and National Service, Dr. Stergomena Lawrence Tax, in New Delhi today. During the bilateral talks, the two ministers will review the defence cooperation between the two countries and explore new avenues, including defence industry cooperation, to further strengthen bilateral engagements. The overarching framework for progressing activities for defence cooperation is the MOU signed between both countries in 2003. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the National Conference of Labour Ministers of all states and union territories via video conferencing yesterday. In his address, the Prime Minister emphasized the role of India's labour force in realizing India's dreams and aspirations to build a developed nation in the Amrit Kal, and reiterated the various efforts taken by the government for the welfare of workers like Pradhan Mantri Shram Yogi Mandhan Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana. In Morning Matters, now let us listen to a discussion on National Labour Conference and its significance. The participants are former Labour Secretary Shankar Agarwal and journalist Shishir Sinha.
Mr. Agrawal, we have heard what the Prime Minister has said about utilization of building and construction workers cess fund. What is the significance of this particular, what you can call it as a collaborative approach to be adopted by the state government with center?
See, for the construction workers, there is a cess called this worker cess. And this is being controlled by the state government. And collectively, there must be about 30,000-40,000 crores of rupees in this kind of a fund across the country. However, in many places, this fund is being misutilized, if I can say so, that instead of using it for the welfare of workers, it is being used for many other purposes which do not fall under the category of workers' welfare. In many states, it was observed that it was being utilized for political purposes as well. And that's why this matter was being looked into by the Supreme Court also. And Supreme Court had given very clear directives that the funds had to be monitored by the Government of India. So it will be controlled by the state government so that misutilization can be checked. And once we do that, there are huge amount of money which can be utilized for the actual welfare of the construction workers.
Sir, one problem what we have observed that the preparation of data in many states, if we talk about the database for the construction workers, that's not readily available. Do you think that this is also one of the issue why the fund has not been used properly?
Absolutely. Unless you have got data, unless you have got information, how are you going to make use of that data? Suppose a worker has come from Jhansi to Delhi and then he works here for 3 months, 4 months and he goes back. How are you going to track him or her for the welfare activity? So unless you create a database which is basically on an IT platform, and once you do that, wherever he or she is, you can track him or her and the benefits can be accrued to him or her. Secondly, not only that, once the database is prepared, a whole lot of other schemes can also be tagged to that database and the worker can make use of the benefits of other schemes as well.
Okay. Sir, now coming to the issue of labor codes, we all know that 4 labor codes are ready and now we are waiting for the rules to be formulated by the state and then the implementation can take place. What are the ways, what are the issues which are still to be resolved in implementation of these codes, sir?
You see, if you look rather deeply, you will find that all these labor laws which have been now converted into these 4 labor codes are extremely pragmatic, and idea is to take care of the welfare of the workers. The only problem is that in many state governments, they have got a different viewpoint on certain issues related to labor. And moreover, labor topic is little politicized also. And that's why, because of our competitive political scenario, people do take or do exploit such sentiment. But I feel that once all these state governments come on the common platform, it will be for the benefit of the entire country. And this will also accrue benefit to the state governments and ultimately to each and every worker of this country.
Another issue is about the more and more, when we talk about the labor force, there are very limited number of labor or workers who get the regular salary. Maximum number of people, they get very irregular salary, no monthly kind of thing. So do you think that some kind of social arrangement, of course we have some schemes like Pradhan Mantri Bima Suraksha Yojana or Atal Pension Yojana or even Shram Mandhani scheme, but still do you think that there should be something more for these kind of labor, because that number is very high, and if I can recall that just 22% of our labor force gets a regular salary, that means 78% are not getting. So how to make life much better for these 78%? What are the 2 things which you think should be done by the government?
If we expect that every worker would get a regular salary, I don't think we will be on the right track. Idea should be whether he or she is getting a regular salary or not, but he or she must get enough money in a month so that he can survive, and that should be more than the minimum wage. So we must, suppose a worker is getting only 10 days wages in a month. So we must create a mechanism so that in the entire month, he or she gets the minimum monthly wages, and that can be done. And all over the world, this is being done. In case of ESIC, if somebody is not getting wages for the entire month, something can be given from the fund. And that we had to create a new mechanism. That it is not being done purposely. Somebody is not absenting himself or herself purpose. As long as a person or a worker is willing to work and he is not being given a job like in case of Manrega, that can be done and that should be done for these workers.
Mr. Agrawal, thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you very much.
The India Meteorological Department has issued a yellow alert for rain in Uttarakhand for the coming 4 days. The IMD said there is a possibility of heavy rain in the mountainous region of the state today and across the state starting tomorrow till Monday. In view of the yellow warning, the administration and the SDRF have been alerted and mobilized all necessary resources to deal with any possibility of natural calamity. People living in sensitive areas have also been alerted. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar met Argentine President Alberto Fernandez on Thursday. In a series of tweets, Dr. Jaishankar said they discussed strengthening the bilateral cooperation, including making trade levels more sustainable and ambitious. He also spoke about energy and food security, both from the perspective of the Global South and bilateral ties between the two countries. Dr. Jaishankar underlined the importance of affordable healthcare, including pharmaceuticals. They also exchanged views on the potential for defense cooperation as well as in nuclear energy. The Appointments Committee of the Cabinet has approved the appointment of former Chief Economic Advisor Dr. Krishnamurthy Subramanian to the post of Executive Director India at the International Monetary Fund. Moving on to sports, in the BWF World Championships, Indian shuttler H.S. Pranoy will take on China's Zhao Junpeng in the quarter-final match today. Pranoy defeated compatriot Lakshya Sen 21-17, 21-16, 21-17 yesterday to enter the quarter-finals. In the men's doubles, Indian pair of M.R. Arjun and Dhruv Kapila will take on third-seeded Muhammad Ehsan and Handra Setiawan of Indonesia today. They beat Singapore's Hee Yong Kai Terry and Loh Kian Hian 18-21, 21-15, 21-16 in a three-game thriller yesterday.
In football, the match between East Bengal and Rajasthan United in Durand Cup ended in a draw at Kishore Bharti Stadium in Kolkata. No team could score any goal. And now let us have a look at the weather forecast for today. The national capital Delhi will have strong surface winds during daytime. Mumbai will have generally cloudy sky with light rain or drizzle. Chennai, the minimum temperature was 26 degrees Celsius, maximum will be around 38 degrees. Kolkata, the minimum temperature was 27 degrees Celsius, maximum will be around 34 degrees. Srinagar will have generally cloudy sky with light rain. Jammu will have generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. Leh will have generally cloudy sky. Gilgit will have generally cloudy sky with possibility of rain or thunderstorm. Muzaffarabad will have thunderstorm with rain. Hyderabad, the minimum temperature will be 24 degrees Celsius, maximum will be around 32 degrees. Bengaluru, the minimum temperature was 21 degrees Celsius, maximum will be around 29 degrees. Visakhapatnam will have partly cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. Guwahati and Kohima will have generally cloudy sky with light rain. Aizawl and Imphal will have generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. Under Supreme Court scanner, SC agrees to look at key aspects of PM-LA verdict is the top headline in the Hindustan Times. Seeing it as an opportunity to increase women's labour force participation, flexi workplaces need of the hour. PM joins WFH work from home debate, headlines the Business Standard. In a bid to control rising prices, government slaps curbs on wheat export to stem price rise, writes the Pioneer. For the first time, India votes against Russia in UNSC on Ukraine, informs the Times of India. Meeting with the group of IAS officers of the 2020 batch, President asks IAS officers to reach out to underprivileged, writes the Statesman. And finally, spruced up by the Dalmia Bharat Group, enjoy a trip down Heritage Lane, go to Red Fort and relive the Mughal era through augmented reality, states the business line of the Hindu.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacts with smart hackathon innovators through video conference, says youth's innovative mindset will take India to the top in next 25 years. Prime Minister to lay foundation stone and inaugurate various developmental projects in Gujarat during his 2-day visit beginning tomorrow. Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs approves policy amendment exempting wheat flour from export ban. Home Minister Amit Shah reviews security in Jammu and Kashmir, asks security forces to continue well-planned counter-terrorism operations. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh to hold bilateral talks with his Tanzanian counterpart, Dr. Stergomena Lawrence Tax, in New Delhi today. Country is ready for launch of 5G services by October this year, says the Communication Minister Ashwani Vaishnaw. Delhi government calls special one-day assembly session at 11 a.m. today. India Meteorological Department issues yellow alert for rain for next 4 days in Uttarakhand. And in badminton, HS Pranoy to play men's singles quarter-final of World Championships in Tokyo today. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.